Hello and welcome to GDTV, and this is Lionheart here, bringing you the first of many Total War Commander commentaries. I'm going to try and give you a interesting commentary that will show both my own tactics and that of my enemy, and have an enjoyable replay. So, we're playing Napoleon Total War on grassy flatlands. My opponent is Dragonheart, and I should say, if you want to get involved and be my opponent for one of these Total War Commanders and these replay commentaries, then drop me a message in the comments below, or even better, message me on GameDecider itself. Link to GameDecider and my profile in the description. Definitely worth checking out. So I'll just go over my units that I've got, but we're going to fast forward it while the deployment's going through. I believe I've got 6 units of foot and 2 units of rifles or green jackets, and then I've got 2 units of cavalry, the Royal Scots Greys and the 10th Hussars. Just seeing what other units now. I've got way more than 6. Yes, I've got 6 units of foot, standard line infantry, and then on my left I've got King's German Legion foot and the 88th foot, the Cognaut Rangers. My opponent Dragonheart, playing as the French, already moving forward, as you can see, with his units here. Now he's gone for a far smaller army, but he's given them upgrades. So he's given himself 4 Fusiliers of the line, 2 of them with 6 veterancy points, I believe, and the other 2 with just 2 chevrons. So he's really massively upgraded these guys. And then he's got 1 unit of Old Guard. Now these guys, even non-upgraded, are a deadly fighting force. Over 60 accuracy, I believe. And then he's got a unit of chasseurs on his right, on his left even, and a unit of lancers over on the right there. He's also got 2 other units of cavalry which he's deploying behind his chasseurs on the left flank here. And they are, one of them are hussars and the other is lancers, and then he has his general staff. So,
all hope is lost, sir.
Oh,
This battle is almost done.
apparently all hope is lost, but we will see. So I've decided to kind of counter his early deployment of his men. He's bringing them into line. He's using his chasseurs as a flanking force rather than a screening force for his men, which is actually quite a viable tactic, using the I think they've got slightly further range. Well, actually it might be the Volunteers that have the slightly further range, I believe. And he's also brought cannon, which I did not see at all. So here in the middle he's also got a unit of 6-pounder horse artillery, which he can pound at my men from afar, and I've already started taking casualties. In fact, one of them hit my general and did quite a bit of damage. My general survived though, and my men are still moving forward. So I have the numerical superiority. He's obviously trying to take out my general early on. He knows the morale, the damaging effect it will have on my morale if he manages to take down my general. But over here I've deployed both my 10th Hussars and Royal Scots Greys. Now the Royal Scots Greys are quite a strong elite unit of heavy cavalry, and he has no heavy cavalry. He's got his Hussars, which are light cavalry, fast, and he's also got these lancers. Now I need to avoid them ideally, because I don't want to face them head on in a charge, because their charge bonus will definitely smash my men, even my heavy dragoons. So I'm trying to flank him up here, and my 10th Hussars are units that can fire from horseback, and they get a shot off, but the lancers start charging while he tries to pull away with his Hussars, and the lancers go straight into my 10th Hussars. But I now flank round with the Scots Greys, who hit both into the Hussars and the rear flanks of the lancers. And now that the lancers, they didn't get a great charge, now that they've been stopped and slowed, my 10th Hussars are actually going to take over in terms of melee ability. The morale is pretty low on both of them, definitely on the Hussars, and he's already trying to pull out with some of his units, but they get caught in there. But now my morale is dipping, both on my Royal Scots Greys and my Hussars, but I am doing the damage. To try and support his cavalry, he's brought over his chasseurs, which get a deadly volley off. But in fact, he hits his own men because my guys are the other side of his. So I try and pull back with my cavalry while I've still got them. my 10th Hussars have gained some veterancy there, and I'm trying to save both units, split one off to the left, one off to the right, and try and flank these chasseurs. I've brought up with my, I'm pushing up all the meanwhile with my line infantry, and he's got the cannons, so he can just stand there and defend. I don't have any cannons, so I have to go forward to meet him, or I will just be slowly chipped away at by that horse artillery. He's now pulling back as he's seen my foot infantry. He's pulling them back into line to deploy against them there, but he's not seen that my Scots Greys are flanking him, as well as a near direct head-on charge by the 10th Hussars. My Scots Greys, while tired, don't get a really effective charge in there, but they do manage to push in there and push his chasseurs back. He does form square with his old guard, so I see that I need to pull out of there quickly or I'm going to lose my cavalry. But at this point I'm also using my cavalry to mask and shield a regiment of foot that's moving up on the right. He's managed to take out my 10th Hussars with a volley from the square, the old guard square, and he's pushing over with his other unit of lancers that he had on the right flank. So he's now exposed on the right flank. He's got no cavalry support, so I'm pushing up with what I'm considering my 2 elite units of infantry. Well, they don't have the elite stats that the old guard do. They have a few bonuses that the standard line infantry don't. So I'm pushing up now with the rifles, the green jackets, to start chipping away at his forces, ideally to take out that artillery, because that is the thing that is stopping him from coming to me. At the moment I have to come to him. Now my Scots Greys take a full-on charge from the Lancers. I wasn't able to pull them away in time, and the Lancers absolutely, they do what they do best. They absolutely obliterate my Scots Greys and kill every single one of them. And they're now free to charge down towards my foot line infantry, which are now being hit at by the old guard and chasseurs. The last minute though I managed to pull them into square, and you'll see the cavalry rear up and get shot by the square formation. I've also started to push up to flank, and I've split my forces to start taking out this heavily defended, or rather tactically more powerful flank that he set up on his left, with the old guard and fusiliers of the line with all that veterancy. I'm pushing forward with my rifles to start firing away at his fusiliers of line. My men are reloading after a first volley, but we've been aiming them ideally at the horse artillery. He gets a volley off from his upgraded fusiliers of the line. My men do manage to hold. Meanwhile, with this going on, the thing is, I've got pretty much 3 units in the centre against his 2, and then over here I'm matching him with unit for unit and an extra unit of square here. Over on the left, I'm again going for this unit here, fusiliers of the line, with 2 units. So here is where my numbers come into play over his more experienced troops. Plus, I'm using the green jackets to screen my troops and add more fire into the fusiliers of the line that are attacking me. I've decided not to bother about the cannons for now. I need to tank out the line infantry and then push through a gap to go in towards his horse artillery. I've managed to beat 1 unit of line infantry there, scratch that about the line infantry. I managed to push back his lancers with my square, and he's actually decided to push forward with his old guard and chasseurs and ignored this unit, which was a square. They're now in a good position to start firing on the flanks of the chasseurs and old guard. And I brought up my general, as you can see here, who has survived, to give some morale boosting rallies and inspiration to the troops on the right flank against the old guard. In the centre, I'm pretty much able to hold him back. I've managed to chip away at this unit, this unit of fusiliers aligned. They're not actually being pushed far enough forward to do any damage, not even to my green jackets and my rifles. The other fusiliers though are desperately firing off against my line infantry though, but they can't pick multiple regiments as their target. They have to stick with one. So this one here is free to start smashing into it, and I'm now pushing up with this. We've broken through in the centre now, and we're now splitting the enemy forces in 2. So I'm going to divide the right flank from the left. I'm going to start pushing through here, bringing up rifles supporting the foot infantry behind. My general is taking a few shots here, and I'm got to be careful, otherwise I'm going to lose him. This regiment is taking the full force of the chasseurs and old guard and has now broken. Still 100 of them left, but I am still flanking them with this force here, and I've started to push up for even more of an effective flank and really hammer home the volleys into the old guard. But they see this and they turn round. So I'm now losing out here. And he's actually pushing forward with the chasseurs in an attempt to take out my general. And I'm just holding here in the centre against his fusiliers of the line, which have been heavily upgraded. Over on the left, I've managed to outflank his units, his fusiliers of the line, with both the Cognot Rangers and the King's German Legion of Foot. And I'm now pushing up in the middle, where I've broken yet another unit of fusiliers. This is sending a lot of crippling negative morale through the rest of his forces, while the Old Guard still stands strong. I just about have the better angle on taking down his troops, which are slowly moving forward. His chasseurs are going forward to try and take out my general, but I pulled them back in time. And here now you can just see the deadly volleys from my men firing off into the French fusiliers, which have now also broken. Over on the left, I'm just bringing up these troops to make sure these guys don't come back from their route, and I'm now laying into those cannons that were hitting me from early on. I'm letting the Cognot Rangers finish them off here. They are using canister shot though, which has gone way too far and not managed to hit me. He's flanking with the chasseurs, which is good, and he's broken another unit of my foot. But my earlier regiment that had broken has now come back, so we can now put the pressure on the chasseurs from that angle. Over here, he's got the Old Guard now versing off against my foot. I just about have a few more men than he does, and they're desperately firing to try and hold them back, because the rest of my forces are still engaged in the centre, but they're now pushing over towards the Old Guard. I've got both of my rifle regiments in support as well. Over on the left, his 2 units of fusiliers have come back, but we've got both the King's German Legion of Foot and the Cognot Rangers, which have not taken too heavy losses at all, pushing up against those two rather weakened units now. And I'm bringing my general towards what is now my main central force here to push up against the Old Guard and give them some support. The Old Guard has managed to break my unit over here on the right. They're steadier morale, and firing drills have kept them in the game. But my foot here, facing off against the chasseurs, only 29 of them, but they're in light formation, or rather spaced out more, and making it harder targets for my foot infantry. So he's now pushing forward with his Old Guard, Dragonheart making a final stand against Lionheart. But I am now just flanking the crap out of the Old Guard. And in fact, he's going for a charge, I believe. Yeah, he's going for a charge, a glorious final charge. But the volley, now, as he gets closer, knocking them down to 10 men, and they have broken. The rifles as well, picking their targets and finishing them off. All that remains is his general, a unit of chasseurs, and these 2 regiments up here, which, once again, I'm deploying a kind of a V-shaped tactic to flank them. This regiment, which the Old Guard had pushed back, is now returning to challenge the general, which is pulling back. Cognot Rangers firing some volleys into the chasseurs. And that has once again broken one of the fusiliers of the line. The other one has just survived, but we're pushing forward, chasing after them with the King's German Legion. Won't let them get away. And the general is pulling right up to the far end of the map, make a final last stand. And I'm now left to sort of order whichever of my troops I wish to bring up for this final push. I've got rifles brought up already along with foot to support them. Rifles now, we've broken completely. They're so close to the line they have no choice but to fall over them, fall over the rest of the line, and the other fusiliers have broken. The general makes a final charge against mine. It's 12v12, general versus general.
Our men are running.
And the French general prevails against my own. My general survives. Don't know which one's mine. I think it might be this chap here. The general survives, but by this point I brought up my foot units, and they should just get a volley off. Chipping away at the French general. He's desperately trying to pull them back, but they break, they rout. I don't manage to kill the general, but I do claim a victory. So, good game to Dragonheart. Here are the stats. So, obviously I deployed 400 odd more men than my opponent. Not as not as radically outnumbered as I originally thought. So you can see I managed to kill 850 of his men, and he managed to kill 667, so not too bad on the friendly fire. Max kills was gained by a rifles unit, followed by a unit of foot. So I hope you enjoyed this Total War Commander commentary. Be back next Tuesday with some more Total War. If you'd like to be a part of the next Total War Commander commentary, then feel free to comment below, or ideally follow through to my profile on GD, link to that in the description, and give me your best, I don't know, dueling, gauntlet throwing down message. I challenge you. So as always, hope you enjoyed. I should say that this is open to pretty much all the Total Wars, from Rome to Shogun 2 and Fall of the Samurai. So let me know which one you'd like to play in, and we'll get another one for next week. As always, hope you enjoyed. Please remember to comment, rate, subscribe to GDTV. This is Lionheart signing off.